Do you wondering what exactly is gender equality and inequality within school and community? Then this is the right video for you. So come with me and let's learn the given 6 questions. For the first question is, what is there and what is the difference between sex and gender? Gender describes the socially created traits of women, men, girls, and boys. This covers the conventions, habits, and rules that come within being a woman, man, girl, or boy, as well as their connection with one another. Gender is a social construct that differs by civilization and can change over time. Sex and gender are distinct concepts that refers to different aspects of identity. The primary distinction between sex and gender is that sex refers to an individual's biological and physical characteristics, which are often classified as male or female based on reproductive anatomy, chromosomes, and hormones. Genders, on the other hand, refers to the social and cultural rules, expectation, behavior, and identities assigned to people depending on their perceived gender. So, for the second question, why is gender inequality relevant to peace education? So, gender matters in peace education for a variety of reasons. The most fundamental of this argument is that women's empowerment and equality in all areas are critical for achieving long-term peace. Significant inequalities between men and women continue in modern culture, ranging from gender-based violence and explicit bias to tradition-based discrimination and conscious variety in values towards men and women. Peace education can help to eradicate these inequalities by raising awareness of the presence of prejudice in everyday life and encouraging action to end it. So next question is, what are the some ways that gender inequalities are perpetuated? So nowadays that we are in a third wave, we all know that we are already applying gender equality where everyone has a right in all aspects. These are some ways that gender inequalities are perpetuated. First, if until now there's a unequal opportunity between men and women, like uneven access to education, implies that certain groups, particularly women and girls, encounter difficulties prohibiting them from equal access to excellent education. Next is lack of employment equality. Refers to persons being treated or given uneven chances in the labor market because of their gender. It means that some genders, particularly women and gender diverse people, endured prejudice and difficulties to work. And also, lack of legal protection is defined as the lack or insufficient of laws and policies that protected persons' rights and well-being, particularly in the context of gender-based discrimination and violence. And also, poor medical care, limited access to contraception. Women overall receive lower quality medical care than men. So for the fourth question, how can you integrate gender issues into your classroom practice? So first, avoid dividing boys and girls into different lines. Separate sports activities and mixing up seating arrangement in a classroom. And also ensures that any instructional materials utilize the depicts gender in all equal amount. Also, boys and girls can work on projects together, and also actively involve all students regardless of gender in class discussion and activities to ensure fair participation, and also mentor and assess students of all genders, encouraging them to follow their passions and goals without regard for gender. Number 5 question, there are 3 set of questions. First is, how are girls and boys socialized differently in your culture? So gender socialization happens through 4 key socialization agents: family, schools, peer groups, and the media. Each actor supports gender rules by developing and upholding normative expectation for gender-specific behavior. Religion and the workplace are example of secondary agents of exposure. Over time, repeated exposure to these agents gives men and women the impression that they are responding spontaneously rather than in accordance with the social form role. Family is the first agent of socialization. There is a considerable evidence that parents socialize sons and daughters differently. For instance, sons are allowed more autonomy and independence at an earlier age than daughters, so they may be given fewer restrictions on appropriate clothing, dating habits, or curfews. Sons are also often free from performing domestic duties such as cleaning or cooking and other household tasks that are considered feminine. Daughters are limited by their expectation to be passive and nurturing, generally obedient, and to assume domestic responsibilities. Next is school. Schools subtly convey message to girls indicating that they are less intelligent or less important than boys. For example, in a study of teachers, data indicated that teacher praised male student for more than female student. Next set of question is that, is there a relationship between these socialization, peace, and violence? So yes, there is a link between gender socialization, peace, and violence. Individual socialization based on the gender norms and expectation can influence their attitudes, behavior, and interaction, affecting the amount of peace or violence in a community. Next, what roles can the classroom play in promoting gender equality? So the classroom plays a crucial role in promoting gender equality. The classroom should provide equal educational opportunity for all students regardless of their gender. So the classroom should be a safe and inclusive space for all students, free from gender-based discrimination, harassment, and bias. So, for the last question, how do you ensure that your classroom is a gender-inclusive environment? What are some of the things you do or avoid doing to achieve this? So, a classroom can be considered a gender-inclusive environment when it actively promotes and supports the inclusion and equitable treatment of all students, regardless of their gender identity or expression. Example, by get to know your students. Establishing a true relationship with each student is a foundation of a truly inclusive classroom. In inclusive classrooms, instructors strive hard to understand their students' different backgrounds and opinions, and they also create chances for students to securely share their life stories and perspective with their classmates, and also understand how your students learn. Getting to know what motivates students to learn and the styles of learning that work best for them are key components of fostering inclusivity in the classroom, and also encourage interaction among students. The more students interact with one another, the better classroom inclusiveness, the stronger students' connection to their school community, and the greater chances that students would feel involved in their education. So, it's crucial to remember that developing a gender-inclusive environment is an ongoing process that necessitates constant learning, self-reflection, and change. Teachers should be receptive to student criticism and collaborate with students, families, and the larger school community to create a truly gender inclusive classroom environment.